All right, today we're going to dive into a side of Friedrich Nietzsche that you have probably never heard before. We're going to blow past the usual stuff you hear in Philosophy 101 to uncover a hidden and, frankly, kind of shocking mystical side to his work. So this is the guy we all think we know, right? The philosopher with the epic mustache who came along and declared, God is dead. The guy who took a hammer to, pretty much all of Western morality and religion. This is the ground floor, it's the standard take on Nietzsche, and for sure it's a world-changing idea. But then there's this. Nietzsche also wrote, I am the Buddha for Europe. Now hold on a second. How does that compute? How can the man who famously killed God also see himself as this major spiritual figure? It's a paradox, and that's the mystery we're going to unravel today. And that is the big question we're tackling here. What if we've been reading him all wrong? What if this master of suspicion, this supposed nihilist, was actually a mystic? What if he was trying to send us a message from a whole other state of consciousness, one that our modern world has almost totally forgotten? Okay, so let's kick things off with a story. A real puzzle, actually. It's a true story that just doesn't fit the standard reading of Nietzsche at all. It points to something deeper and, honestly, a lot weirder going on in his work. Okay, get this. This is a true story, recounted by the scholar Jeff Kripal, and it's absolutely wild. You have a young man, literally on the edge of ending his own life. And what saves him? Not therapy, not religion, but a copy of Nietzsche's Thus Spoke Zarathustra that literally flies off a bookshelf and into his hands. It's this impossibly perfect, almost magical moment that saves his life. You see, the typical textbook reading of Nietzsche as this guy who just wanted to tear everything down, it just completely falls apart here. It can't explain something like this. An event this profound points to something else, a different kind of energy in his writing that can have this kind of life-altering spiritual punch. So how do we make sense of this? Well, Kripal has this brilliant idea. He suggests we think of Nietzsche's work as having two floors of meaning. Now, most of us, and this includes most professional philosophers, we've been shuffling around on the first floor our whole lives, completely unaware that there's a whole other level right above our heads. And this is a perfect example of what he means. Let's take the famous Übermensch, or Overman. On the first floor, the common reading, it's just a political figure, right? A better leader, a strong individual who creates new values. But then you go upstairs to the second floor, and wow, it's something else entirely. It's a new biological species. It's the next step in human evolution. It's a being with a totally different kind of consciousness. And listen to Nietzsche's own words here. This just seals the deal. We are to apes what the Übermensch is to us. He wasn't just talking about a slightly improved person. He was talking about a leap in being as massive as the one from ape to human. He was talking about the future of our species. Okay, so you've got to be wondering, right? Where on earth did Nietzsche get these completely out there second-floor ideas? I mean, they didn't just pop into his head. The answer, it seems, lies in a very specific, profound moment of insight he had. This wasn't just him having a good idea on a hike. No. This was a full-blown, life-altering, mystical experience. He felt that his most famous ideas, like the Übermensch and the eternal return, weren't things he invented. He felt they were given to him, like he was a channel for something much, much bigger. And this leads us to this really fascinating, kind of mind-bending theory of genius called the filter thesis. It completely flips how we usually think about the mind. So instead of your brain producing consciousness like a little factory in your skull, what if it's more like a radio receiver? What if it's just tuning into a cosmic consciousness that's already out there, all around us? Then here's the wild part of the analogy. Sometimes, if you kind of break the radio a little bit, you might lose the local pop station, sure, but you might suddenly tune into a broadcast from halfway across the world. The idea is that breaking the filter of our normal everyday ego can sometimes let a much bigger, much more profound signal come flooding in. Genius, then, isn't about creating something from nothing. It's about being a really clear channel. Okay, so if genius is just being a good receiver, then why bother writing it all down? What's the point of all these great books and works of art and philosophy? Why do we still read this stuff hundreds of years later? This question, if you really think about it, changes everything about why we study the humanities. It suggests these books aren't just for intellectual debate or, getting a good grade. They have a much more active, and you could even say magical purpose. And the answer is just so cool. According to this way of thinking,
These great works aren't just collections of ideas, they're transmitters. They're designed to carry a kind of electrical charge, an echo of the incredible state of consciousness the author was in when they wrote it. Think about it. They're like little time capsules, carrying these extraordinary states of mind through the centuries, just waiting for a reader who's ready and open to tuning in. That suicidal student, he didn't just read Nietzsche's ideas. He tuned into Nietzsche's frequency, and it literally saved his life.
Which brings us full circle, right back to Nietzsche's craziest sounding statements. The stuff that makes people think he just completely lost it at the end of his life.
But when you look at these claims from that second floor we talked about, suddenly they don't sound so crazy. In fact, they might be the most sane, most precise things he ever wrote. They might be the perfect description of a profound mystical insight.
Because look at this. When you put his words side by side with mystics from totally different traditions, Islamic Sufis, Christian saints, you realize he's speaking their language. It's the same exact realization expressed in almost the same exact words across centuries and cultures. And this is the absolute key to the whole thing. This isn't about ego. It is the exact opposite. It's egolessness. It's the ultimate act of humility. It's the realization that your personal self, that little me you think you are, is just a temporary filter, an illusion, and that there's really only one cosmic consciousness, one single awareness experiencing the entire universe through you.
So, okay, what's the takeaway here? Why should we care about some mystical reading of a philosopher from the 1800s? Well, because it totally reframes the entire human project. It suggests that maybe, just maybe, we've been aiming way too low. And that leaves us with this final, absolutely mind-blowing question. This reading of Nietzsche suggests that we, humanity, are not the finished product. We're not the end point. We are a transition. We are a tightrope stretched between the animal that we were and the superhuman consciousness that we are, perhaps, just perhaps, destined to become.